Representative Tim Ormsby, coming to you from the floor of the Washington State House of Representatives, very near my seat here on the floor. And you can see that the whole chamber is behind me. One of the things I like about sitting in the back is that you can keep an eye on the entire operation of what's going on the floor. It makes for a good information. I want to thank you for tuning in. It's hard to believe, but we have less than 1 month scheduled for the rest of the legislative session. That means there will be some really heavy lifting to be done between now and the end. We're just beginning that process for the final sprint. The first of the 3 state budgets were rolled out last week, the transportation budget. It's not nearly as contentious as the operating budget. It is not as political. It's a jobs budget. It puts people to work and stimulates economic activity throughout the state. And it is not paid with any new taxes. It's paid with existing voter-approved fuel taxes, mostly. It's not surprising that there are no new projects, because one of the things that's happened with the fuel tax is people are driving more economical cars and they're driving less, so the revenue that's coming into the state is less, and for that reason we don't have new projects. But by my count, we have almost $9 billion in projects that are going to be going on in the next few years throughout the entire state, in fact in 48 of the state's 49 legislative districts, including right in the Spokane area. We all know, for example, that we've been working for some years to complete the North Spokane corridor. This budget includes $72 million for that project. It also includes money for US 395. You might think of that as Division Street going north and also going south. Also money from the state to replace the Spokane East Trent Bridge. That's the bridge that is just east of the Hamilton and Trent intersection. In total, over the next couple of years, the 3rd District will be the recipient of over $200 million in state transportation projects. I'd also like to give you a little bit of news about the capital budget. The capital budget, another jobs budget, is the state's construction budget other than transportation. We, for example, in the Spokane area have been very interested in getting a 4-year medical school built, and those are the types of things that we're working on when we're talking about the capital budget. Also, a few words now about what generally people think about when they think about the state budget is not the transportation budget or the capital budget, but the operating budget. That's generally what we think of when we talk about the state budget. Here we are taping this on Tuesday, March 29th, and that budget hasn't been released. All I can say is any day now. I'll have plenty to tell you about when it finally is released, and that should be in our next weekly video update. Other work that's continuing here in Olympia, and a couple things that I'd like to mention. In the Capital Budget Committee yesterday, we had a hearing on Senate Bill 5367, and that authorizes the Economic Development Finance Authority to continue issuing bonds. Now, this isn't state money. It comes to us from the federal government, and they too are good for jobs. The Economic Development Financing Authority funds jobs, many of them in the Spokane area, for the purposes of spurring economic activity and economic growth, which is good for jobs, and it's also good for state and local revenue, tax base. In one of my other committees, the Labor and Workforce Development Committee, we're going to have a hearing tomorrow that sends a message to the U.S. Congress, and here's what that message is: that the United States Department of Labor should provide Washington State with unemployment tax relief equal to any benefit that it provides to any other state. Well, what does this mean? You've heard me in weekly video updates in the past talk about what we've done on unemployment insurance in Olympia this year. What we've done is provide over $300 million in immediate tax relief to businesses, while at the same time being able to bump up the paychecks of unemployed workers by $25 a week. Why were we able to do this? We were able to do it because we have a very sound unemployment insurance trust fund. Not every state does. In fact, some of those states are going to be going bankrupt on their unemployment insurance trust fund, and the federal government is considering bailing them out. Well, just because we have a very well-funded unemployment insurance trust fund doesn't mean that we should be using tax dollars to bail out those other states without Washington State also being a recipient of some of that federal relief. We're about out of time for this video update, very much like the legislative session. As always, I would appreciate hearing from you for your input, your advice, your questions and concerns. I'm Tim Ormsby. I'm in Olympia working for you, and I'd like to thank you for watching.